This is inspired in the weirdest way by that new TV show, The Librarian. Because, I was skeptical to watch it. Now I'm just fed up and sick and tired, to be honest. Because, seeing the cast, you see that they're not going to cast anyone in the lead role that's a Negro. It's almost like it's, in my mind, they're always like saying, hey, you have no interest in learning. You have no interest in finding out things. You have no interest in any of this stuff. Just stay dumbed down, play your sports, listen to your rap music, talk about beating your women. And I don't know, it just irritates me. Plus, because I'm watching this stuff and I'm seeing all kinds of things. I'm seeing all kinds of names and stuff brought up. You see all the Freemason stuff. I mean, they literally talked in the show. This is Mason to Mason and stuff like that. And so I get fed up with this stuff. So this is my version, right, of the Librarian. Let's start out with one of the things that I don't think we talk about enough in our community. First of all, whole cast right here, and only one black person, only one Negro right here. The Magic Negro, Spike Lee would call it, right? The Magic Negro, the one that would throw herself in the line to save Chatner and all of them, right?
First captain, his name was Captain Pike. This is a reference to, of course, for those that know about Freemasonry, to Albert Pike, who was a 33rd degree Mason. And of course, that's the highest degree in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry.
And real quick, I don't know if you guys know this, but right, this image right here, this is of the phoenix, right, and then the eagle. And one way you can always tell which one's the phoenix is the phoenix has a feather on the top of its head that sticks out, like a long feather. Unnatural. Eagles' feathers there's one that their feathers don't stick out that far. At least they don't have one that sticks out far enough. So every time you look at when you look at those eagles, even when they do like statues where you thought it was an eagle, if you see a feather that sticks out like an ear, a sharp ear or something like that, the top of his head, that's a phoenix you're looking at. And when you see an eagle, or you look at one and its head is smooth, that's an eagle, and it's their duality. Like that Bishop T.D. Jakes, he tried to talk about, Adam and Eve are supposed to be both male and female. That what was it that when God put Adam to sleep, he takes Eve out of him, so that meant that Adam walked around as a man and a woman. And it's their version of duality. You look into a river, you see this. On a clear day, you'll see the sky, and it's that as above, so below. But it's like you see the reflections of one another. Plus, the triangle was the strongest shape on the planet Earth, or so they say.
Age that Christ was crucified. This is all about the mockery of Christ. For those that follow my videos, they'll know that. And understand what's taking place here, and the more connections when it comes to Gene Roddenberry. Let's take a look here at some of the characters here from Star Trek. First off with Spock, with this character being nothing more than a hybrid, a half Vulcan and half human. Just taking a look at his characteristics, of course, with the pointed ears, like devil ears, which is exactly like the tarot card going back to 1910.
Now, but the 5-pointed star is actually upside down, so it's the goat head inside there too. And what's up with redheads? You think of Irish and Scottish for some reason.
You see the same exact hand sign, again with the devil card. So understand what's taking place here with this character that Gene Roddenberry created. Basically, Spock's dad represents one of the fallen ones that mated with the female humans, as mentioned in the Bible. In Genesis 6, chapter 4. So understand what's taking place here, again, with Spock during the entire series basically despising his human side, and again, a representation of the fallen ones. And for those that believe this is all just a stretch, again, it's about putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
When we arrive at the planet, so I'm with my father, my grandfather, and my brother, sitting in the bench seats. Women were upstairs. 5 or 6 guys get up on the bema on the stage, and they're facing the congregation. They get their talit over their heads, and they start this chanting. I think it's called Dukkening.
Gukkening reminds me of the slur, the Guk Turk.
And my father said to me, don't look. So everybody's got their eyes covered with their hands, or they've got their talit down over their faces, or turned away, turned their back to these guys. And I hear this strange sound coming from them. They're not singers. They were shouters. And dissonant. It was all discordant. And they were doing like, that kind of wailing. And all discordant, not together, not in unison. And then the leader would shout out, Yaborechecho! And the rest of them would respond, Yaborechecho, Ravi Yisparecho! It was chilling. And whoa, something major is happening here. So I peeked, and I saw them with their hands stuck out from beneath their talit like this towards the congregation. Wow. Something really got hold of me. I had no idea what was going on, but the sound of it and the look of it was magical. This is the shape of the letter Shin, Hebrew alphabet Shin. Very interesting letter in the language. It's the first letter in the word Shaddai, the first letter in the word Shalom, first letter in the word Shekhinah, which is the name of the feminine aspect of God, who supposedly was created to live amongst humans, the Shekhinah. Why you're not supposed to look came to me much, much later, much later. My wife Susan has a cousin who's a rabbi here in Los Angeles at Temple Israel. And I was telling him this story, and he said the reason you don't look is the legend is that during that benediction, the Borechecho, the Shekhinah comes into the sanctuary to bless the congregation. And you don't want to see that because it's so powerful, it could really be seriously injured, or it could be fatal. So that's why you protect yourself by hiding your eyes. Don't look. I survived. I never dreamed that I would do that someday or be involved in it in some way.
So I'm at Fallsview, and this beautiful model sits down beside me in the theater.
Really? Another.
Out, or the boys were circumcised. Signs of bruises from tight bandages put on and removed again are not uncommon. Often the entire skin has abrasions, as if it was burnt or had something rubbing against it. Sometimes the corpse was even washed, with it being discovered without any blood on it. Nor was there any blood on the undergarments or clothes, demonstrating that they were taken off during the murder and afterwards put on again. The parents and siblings of babies who have experienced such tragic deaths wonder, for what possible reason would people commit?
This whole video is all about the Jews sacrificing children and the rituals behind it. They don't go that in depth, but this stood out. This stood out.
Such deplorable acts to innocent babies. Without a purpose, it could never be done. And it continues to happen repeatedly over time. The ordinary killer in any case would be satisfied with one murder.
I don't know if he's gonna say it, but if this, I might have already showed this early in the video. I don't remember, but I know that this is supposed to be the word Shen in Hebrew pierced into this child's head, and he brings it up in this interview. I'm hoping that it's this point. I haven't seen this in a while, but it might have been right here. Hold on.
In an effort to procure as much blood as possible. If you look closely, and I realize it might be difficult, but if you look closely, you can see 13 puncture marks to the side of the child's cranium. which Jews reportedly did as part of some sort of ritual as a sacrifice so they could overthrow the Tsar. V.V. Rozanov, a popular Russian poet and writer at the time of the Byelish trial, wrote a book about the incident too. His book is called The Relation of Jews to Blood, and it tells how Hasidic Jews use blood in occult rites. Rosanov's book also describes the Kabbalistic mythology used in Yushinsky's murder by the Hasidic cult. In essence, the stab wounds were reportedly made in a ritualistic manner. A summation of Rosanov's findings shall follow. In the Kabbalah, there is a Sephirothic tree that is made up of 4 worlds. Pictured here is one world. Each world has 10 spheres, which are connected via 22 channels, with these channels corresponding to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Going from Sephiroth 8, honor or glory, one would take channel 21, which corresponds to the Hebrew letter Shin, to arrive at Sephiroth 10, the kingdom. The letter Shin then implies that for Jews to
That's what I was talking about. They pierced this into the side of that child's head.
use such symbology in the placement of stab wounds during their ritual murder, it is thus done to honor the Jewish deity and to attain the Jewish kingdom over the world. In Rosanov's book, he shows the Hebrew letters associated with the lower triangle of Sephiroths. Some of these other Sephiroths in the lower triangle are Sephiroth 7, victory, and Sephiroth 9, the world of elements. On page 225 of his book, Rosanov writes that the placement of the wounds on Yushinsky's head were actually a partial representation of the Sephirothic tree, represented most clearly by the proximity of the stab wounds, believed to be symbolic of the Hebrew letter Shin, which is at the bottom left.
I don't know why, but that looks like a pyramid.
Here we see an illustration made by Rosanov that shows the placement of the wounds, with an overlay of the bottom triangle of the Sephiroth world for illustrative purposes. The photograph of the child Yushinsky is shown for comparative purposes. You may notice the bottom right section of Yushinsky's temple does have 5 wounds in close proximity that seem suggestive of this Hebrew letter Shin. Here is the picture of the Hebrew letter Shin for comparison. And here is a magnification of the wounds to Yushinsky's head.
Looks like a W or an E on its side.
Which Rosanov noted.
I'm just saying from the alphabetical standpoint. I haven't learned Hebrew. I just learned what Arthur Scott did in his videos because he broke it down, and I was able to call him and talk to him, which made it a lot easier.
Are the symbolic depiction of this letter. For illustrative purposes, small lines are drawn from the wounds, connecting them together to demonstrate how the Kabbalists interpret the symbolic nature of these wounds, according to Rosanov. Even an intelligent skeptic must admit that his findings certainly seem plausible.
Here's the last one.
Hey, T, I know we're tight on time, but I really need a sick day tomorrow.
I hate commercials. I don't ask for them and I don't want them. I know, sign up and pay for it so you don't have to watch them. Blah, blah, blah. This is what I was looking for. I don't know why I just wasted all your time right there.
Lo anashvayst. Flo al-Bahra al-Hin Samichna. The Lahar shot. Right there, shot. The Anahis. Which may Hadisha. Tushbakhan.
sound. Yo, is those Rams? Those are Rams. Look at that. On his staff, he got the Rams. Just like that car with the devil on it, or whatever that was, that demon.
Marion, don't look at it. Shut your eyes, Marion.
Now, how did he know not to look at it? How did he know not to? How did he know? Right? How did he know?
Don't look at it no matter what happens.
Nah, why y'all scared? Take the blessing. And Native Americans call that the war box. Brought to you by Utah.